ist CNN.
You can't love them all. You can't.
I wouldn't have started Playboy if I was afraid of controversy. I think that controversy is the way you change things.
I want to live in a society in which people can voice unpopular opinions.
There are probably a lot of people today out there enjoying freedoms who have no idea that Hugh Hefner was the pioneer.
That was a clip from the documentary Hugh Hefner, Playboy activist and rebel. It's nominated for an NAACP Image Award. And I'm back now with Hugh Hefner and Crystal Harris, his fiancée. I suppose, Crystal, when you look at the young Hef, I mean, do you kind of wish that you were with him when he was that age?
I mean, I think he looks great at all ages. Yeah.
What do you think, Hef, when you see yourself back in those firebrand days?
I wish that we had met earlier.
Now, when I see those, I see his sons in him, the younger half. Yeah.
Someone wrote about you once that you'd slept with thousands of women, but that you'd unbelievably managed to never fall out with any of them. Is that true?
Essentially, yes, and it's something I've tried to make a point of. I think there's something very sad if one winds up at odds with a former wife or a love, because I think you give up a part of yourself.
Do you always try and stay friends with them all?
Yes.
I mean, what about your recent exes that we all know about? Have they all taken news of the engagement well, or has there been a little bit of a frisson of tension?
Some have been
some tension,
kind, and some not quite so kind.
Who's taken it the worst, Crystal, would you say?
I don't know. Whoever doesn't approve or doesn't take it well, I just ignore them.
There were the Shannon girls, have they?
Oh, they're so happy.
They're happy for you?
The Shannon twins are so happy for us.
Holly
They're
okay about it?
Yeah.
I think Holly has mixed emotions.
Because she probably hoped to be Mrs. Hefner herself.
Well, I don't want to put words in her mouth. I think that the reality, and some fans, because they keep rerunning the Girls Next Door show from 5 or 6 years ago, where Crystal was my girlfriend, and they feel as if that's current events.
Where Holly was, you mean?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Holly was. So it's quite confusing. So they're watching a show where you're with somebody else.
And I said on one of my tweets that you can't confuse reality with reality TV. I mean, they're not the same thing.
Do you ever keep score of how many women you've managed to seduce?
I stopped doing that a long time ago.
What point did you stop? What was the tally then?
I don't know what the number was. But I think there is something more important in relationships than quantity.
Is there? But is there anything more important to your life than sex?
Oh yes, absolutely, sure.
Like what?
Well, I think that love, friendship.
Everything. Yeah, it's not as important.
Sure. I mean.
But I've read you talking about the
It's easy, of course. It's like saying, is money important? Only if you don't have any.
Yes.
If I wasn't having a good sex life, I'd probably put that at the top.
And how much is your? I don't want to be personal about this, but how much is your ability to continue having a good sex life down to the wonder drug Viagra?
Well, I wouldn't want to try it without that's what it's there for. It breaks down it eliminates the problem in terms of age.
Is he? I mean, is he? I guess women imagine that Hugh Hefner must be one of the great lovers of all time. Is he? Not be too Furious, but is he?
I love Hef. We have the best time together, no matter what we're doing. I mean, we love we like putting on our PJs and curling up and watching murder mysteries and fun stuff. We watch The Bachelor. We watch all kinds of stuff, and we just have fun.
That seems to be the thing. I mean, what do you guys talk about?
Everything.
What do you talk about?
Well, almost everything.
I ask him. I'm not. I want to know everything about Hef. I ask him all these questions. I ask him everything. I'm not a jealous person. I want to know, did you know Marilyn Monroe? Did you sleep with her? Did you do this? And
well, actually, that's a damn good question.
If it's a no, did you want to? I ask him everything.
Well, this is great. You should be doing my job. So let me try this one.
There's 2 against 1 here.
Did you know Marilyn Monroe?
She was actually in my brother's acting class in New York. But the reality is that I never met her. I talked to her once on the phone, but I never met her.
So you never actually.
She was gone, sadly, before I came out here.
Yeah.
She was a remarkable. Dennis Hopper was in that class too, wasn't he?
Yes.
Must have been with your brother, because I had the same conversation with him about Marilyn.
Jane Fonda, some famous people in that class.
What's a classic Hefner day like? I mean, for you two, when you get married, what will be a classic normal day?
Well, it's fairly well structured. You know, the daytimes, begin late morning, and then I take care of editorial. I'm still very much involved
He
in the
works
editorial.
Monday through Friday
Yeah.
in the office.
And do interviews, etc. During the day.
How much of the Playboy brand do you think is down to you personally?
Well, I certainly didn't do it alone, but it is certainly a very personal brand. I mean, the whole notion of Playboy, came from my own dreams, my childhood and adolescent dreams. And I do think that it was not a coincidence that when my last marriage ended, and I came back out and discovered a whole new generation was waiting for me to come out and play, the brand got hot again. In other words, the brand in the last 10, 12 years, right now, even though we're going through economic problems in terms of publishing, etc., the brand is hotter now on a global level than ever.
The odd thing is, I mean, your early life was quite puritanical. You didn't even lose your virginity till you were in the 20s.
My parents were very Puritan, Nebraska farm people. They gave me good ideals, but they were also very repressed.
What would they have made of the empire you've built?
Well, they were around long enough to see what it was all about. My dad actually came to work for me, and he was a public accountant. He came to work for me as my treasurer. And my mother, when I was starting the magazine, and starting it actually in 1952 with nothing, I went to anybody to, a dollar here, a dollar there, and she gave me $1,000. And
To get it all going?
she got it all back many times
We're going to
over.
have another break now. When I come back, I want to talk about what you did with that money, because you managed to turn Playboy into this sensation.
She'll never find another man like me.
The guests there and the performers were of every race. There was no particular concern in terms of racial taboos, because there were no concerns in terms of racial taboos in my life. It's very difficult for people to really remember what it was like back then. The racial bigotry, the separation that existed.
That was another clip from Hugh Hefner, Playboy activist and rebel, which is nominated for an NAACP Image Award. And I'm back now with Hefner's fiancée, Crystal Harris. I mean, the Playboy was a real trailblazer at the time, wasn't it? Not just in terms of the race aspect we just saw, you brought everybody in together, but in terms of the sexual liberation that it represented. You were doing stuff that people just didn't even dare to do at the time.
Well, in terms of the show, the concept of it and the conceit of the show was that it was a party in my apartment. So black and white didn't make any difference as far as I was concerned. And that was, back then, revolutionary. We got no distribution. It was a syndicated show. We got no distribution in the South, and I knew that.
What was the premise of Playboy? What was your real intent? What did you want to achieve with the brand?
I wanted to create a lifestyle magazine. For most men's magazines after World War II were outdoor adventure magazines, and I was not interested in hunting and fishing, etc. I liked the more urban life. So I wanted to create a magazine that created a sense of a bachelor's existence with some style. And in that time frame, that was very revolutionary, because you got to remember 1952, 1953 was a very conservative decade.
And you were pushing the envelope, weren't you? You were quite risque.
Yes, it was.
Even then, he still is, right?
Yes. Marching to my own drummer.
I mean, he's always been a bit of a naughty boy, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Don't you think, Crystal?
Yeah.
A nice one.
A nice naughty boy.
He took the girls and I to see the Justin Bieber movie on Valentine's Day.
Really?
And he wrote
You see, I don't know why, but that just slightly freaks me out. I mean, you're sitting in there watching a Justin Bieber movie.
Because
we wanted to go see it.
Then that's right. And then
And
I
he
did
wrote a tweet about it.
I did a
You have to hear
tweet
the
afterward.
tweet.
I said, take your girl to a Justin Bieber movie, and she'll never say never.
And that's the title of the movie.
Do you think there are any other
I got about
84-year-old...
300 tweets to respond to that.
Well, do you think there are any 84-year-old men anywhere else in the world that take their young fiancée to a Justin Bieber movie and then tweet about it? There can't be.
And now
You're a one-off, aren't you?
Today we got news that Justin and his father want to come to the mansion.
What?
Oh, yes. True.
Bieber
meet
wants to go to the
Justin
Playboy
Bieber.
Mansion.
I have
Seriously?
Bieber fever. We all do. All the playmates. We all want to meet
I'm
him.
already fearing for Bieber's life in there. What's going to happen to him?
He'll do all right.
I've got to hold my hands up now. I went to your Midsummer Night's Dream party 3 years ago. A quite extraordinary thing. Well,
It's a mess.
I was nearly arrested for trying to go in wearing too many clothes. I had to go out and take clothes off. And then I walked in, and I'd already told David Hasselhoff on America's Got Talent I was going to this thing. And he said to me, "Oh, man, it's crazy. You're going to love it." And I said, "Well, I'm taking my fiancée, who's now my wife." And he said, "You're doing what? You do not take sand to the beach." I mean, I walked in and I realized what he meant, because I walked through the doors and there were 800 to 1,000 people, most of whom were young ladies who had very little clothing on, if at all. And everyone was eating lobster, drinking champagne. You were in this weird tent in the middle of the whole thing, presiding over about 35 women. And I remember thinking, this is a modern day version of Caligula's Rome. This was like this sort of orgy in front of me.
It's beautiful.
Is that the idea? Is that the point of these parties?
I mean,
I think that's the idea.
yeah. I don't know if it's literally an orgy, but it's like, it's free. Like, inhibitions are gone, pillows everywhere, everything.
Is it as orgy-like as it used to be? I mean, can people go there and just have sex in your grotto and things? I mean,
I mean,
is that
I've
no longer allowed?
I've walked into a couple people in the game house. Not
And
mentioning
they were
any
not
names.
playing pinball. Shocked to discover there's gambling
I'm
going
sure
on
people
here.
could sneak away if they wanted to. There's rooms, there's the grotto, there's everything.
Is this going to be a healthy place for Justin Bieber to find himself?
You're going to bring his father.
I mean, the great thing
Have
about
to watch out for the father, I guess.
I mean, the Playboy brand still has this wonderfully kind of sexy, naughty mystique to it, doesn't it? Despite all competitors being thrown your way, whether you like what you do or not, and I've always found it, great fun. There's no doubt you can't dispute the fact you've got here through sheer hard work and a real concept of what your brand is. That's what I've always felt with Playboy. It's all about you. You lead the life. I mean, you are marrying this beautiful young girl. You do go to Bieber movies, You've never
do
grown
it
up,
all.
have you?
Well, somebody's got to do it.
Do you want to grow up?
I think that's the key. When people say they want to be me when they grow up, I said the key to that is don't grow up.
Yeah, I don't want to grow up either.
But I mean in a very positive way. I just think that there are too many rules and restrictions, and at the same time, from my perspective, I have lived continually a very moral life.
Yeah, of course you have.
Of course I have.
You said that with a straight face.
Yes.
Well, after the break, we're going to bring out somebody who can perhaps testify to this, which is your son.
It'd be a pleasure.